Hey, y'all, this is Ryan Monceaux, and this is Cougar After Thoughts show. We just saw Houston beat Montana 79-44, and we're going to get it started. Starns, Ryan, let's go. J1.
Yahoo!
So U of H wins it by 34 or something. Starns, what did you think of what you saw?
It was just a complete performance. They jumped on them early, took an 11-0 lead, and it honestly somehow felt like more, even though it was just the beginning of the game. It it looked like they were just going to be able to score whenever they wanted to, and Montana was never going to be able to get a shot off. But as the game settled down, it was just another sort of run-in-the-mill, non-conference beatdown by Houston. LJ Cryer had 24 points. That's his most as a Cougar. His highest is 30 in a tournament loss last year. That was definitely his best shooting game. Definitely his best game as a Cougar. He seemed like he was in rhythm the entire game. Looked good. Jamal Shed, I thought was awesome as usual. I think he had 9 or 10 points with, more importantly, 7 assists, 4 steals, and just 1 turnover committed.
Yeah, it was 13 points, so
13
even a little better than you thought.
Yeah, he was pretty dominant, and I also think Terrence Arsenault 9 rebounds led the game. Couldn't score well really, but I think the glaring issue with this team that showed up, and it showed up the entire season so far, has been the free throws. They've been bad. They went 12 for 24 today. I believe that's not the first time they've shot about 50%. It's definitely not the first time they shot about 50%. And that's, if there's anything to take away from this game to look at, it's definitely that, and how much of an issue that's going to be moving forward, and can they remedy that?
Yeah, that's not something you worry about today, but you worry about it going into the new year and starting conference play. They actually ended up 18 of 30 for 60%, which is about where they're at for the season, 61-ish% after today. A lot of points in the paint, a lot of points off turnovers. Jawan had a good day. Like you said, Terrence Arsenault had 6 defensive rebounds, I believe, and that got him to sign U of H's bubble, which is something they do for when you get 6 defensive rebounds or you have a breakout defensive performance. Juwan Roberts, just another solid game. He is this culture. And Kelvin talked about him in the post game. We're going to give you a little video of that right now.
Been part of a lot of really good teams. Let's not forget the name on the front of our jersey says Houston, doesn't say J1. So J1's not the one who won the 50 games. He's been part of some really, really, really good teams. So I'm not trying to blow J1 up like that. But I think if I were to describe J1 in a word, it would be that, though, winner. He plays winning basketball. He fits in with any other teammate any other way. I don't even see him as a position guy. So what positions does he play? For us, we only have 2 positions, I guess. Javier plays center, and Mal plays point. The rest of them are all interchangeable in a lot of different ways. And J1 has really developed and improved so much since he's been here.
You need J1 as much as you need anybody not named Jamal Shed. He is just the personification of everything you want to do here. And he's going to continue to be that guy for you. Something that happened today, earlier today, Tremont Mark, who's playing for Arkansas now, was injured in a game against North Carolina. He had scored 34 points before the injury that he had to be stretchered off the court. And we don't really have an update on his status. Him and Jamal Shed are best friends still, and still very close. And I talked with Jamal after the game, and he was unaware that he was stretchered off. He knew about the 34 points, but just did not learn about the injury and was very concerned and ran to the locker room, to be honest, to just kind of get an update. And, you know, Tremont transferred out the Saturday of the Final Four, and U of H fans just kind of wrote it off. But it's different for these guys. They're still friends. They've lived through everything together. And, Starns, you wrote an article, a profile for us last year that was fantastic with Jamal and Tremont, just talking about their relationship and how they are on and off the court. And, I have sympathy for Tremont, but also for Jamal because that's his guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they've known each other since they were 9. They basically committed together to U of H. And they're roommates there. I mean, you can only just hope that it's not a severe injury. I think the coach Eric Musselman said that it was back. It wasn't a neck or a head injury, which
Okay,
sounds
better.
better. Of course, we don't know the severity of the severity of all that yet, but we can only hope and hope he has a speedy recovery and that it's not too severe. Tremont was a big part of this team last year. He had to, he was with that three-headed, that 3-guard starting lineup. He had to play a lot of minutes. He was a big part. He won them that Auburn game last year.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of put the team on his back and scored, and that's what he's been doing at Arkansas so far. He carried them in overtime and double overtime at Stanford. He was sort of carrying them today against North Carolina. He's been a huge part. And, we all know he's a great player. Great dude. From talking to him, and we can only hope for the best for him.
Yeah. What did you get out of today? What did you learn?
Not a whole lot. I think.
Fair.
I think the start was just really so impressive. That 11-0 run out of the gate was really impressive. I think you saw the first glimpse of what a good LJ Cryer game looks like when he's on. It just looks like it's going to go in every time, and it looks perfect. You also, this is just another one of those just dominant defensive games, and they shot it well offensively, and it looked good. I think that's really. I think Juwan Roberts getting his 50th win, Jamal Shed getting his 500th assist. Those are probably the 2 most eventful things of the day.
Yeah.
In this court, at least.
Yeah, the free throw shooting is mind blowing. I don't understand how that happens. And each trip in the first half was a 1 of 2. Nobody made 2. And I think you pointed it out on the tweeters that it was halfway through the second half before that happened. And you just can't be that bad. You were going to get whooped. You're going to get worked in the Big 12 if that's how you're shooting free throws. Because why would anybody let you shoot? They've got 70 fouls to give or, close to it. UVA is going to have to make those. They're going to have to force teams to not foul. And it did not look good today.
Yeah.
It got better late in the game when it didn't really matter. We've seen that a couple times this year. And you just can't wait until it's a 40-point game to start making your free throws. And I agree with this. Not a huge gambler. This team cost me at the free throw line today. Going to cost them at some point this year. You're right. It is. And, I don't know if it's a psychological thing. It's obviously, they shoot free throws a lot in every practice, after every practice. They shoot them in the pregame. You see the bigs especially shooting them, some guards, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think one of the big things that it was sort of, I expected it to be better because LJ Cryer and Damian Dunn were great free throw shooters coming in, and Damian Dunn especially was great at getting to the line.
Yeah.
And he hasn't shot free throws that well compared to what he was doing back in Temple. LJ Cryer doesn't really get to the line a whole lot.
No.
And, I think it's one thing for your bigs to struggle shooting free throws, Javier Francis, Jawan, like, I think you can expect it, something like a 1 out of 2 every time. But when Emmanuel Sharp, when Terrence Arsenault, when Jamal Shed are having that, I think that's when it really becomes an issue.
I was talking to Matt Peterson, the play-by-play guy from ESPN Plus, before the game, and he brought it up to me that Emmanuel Sharp has taken more free throw attempts than anybody on this team, and that kind of blew me away. I didn't realize that. But if a guy you think of as a spot-up shooter is taking your most free throws, that's kind of weird. Now, he's doing a better job of getting to the hole. He's penetrating a lot more than he ever has, and that's great. But that can't be your number one free throw attempt guy. That's a big problem. One thing that I learned today was that it's going to take a lot for Kelvin to get a second technical. Maybe it changes in the league, but he got his money's worth on the technical that he took there in that game. He was pretty mad. I had actually come down to the floor at that point to check on something and was right near the U of H bench when he slammed down his clipboard. It rattled around and it hit the ground and had to be retrieved for him, and was pretty pissed off and got that technical right after it. Was all up in the ref's ear, and he said the magic word that gets you the technical, and he was saying that magical word in the huddle too. So he really got his money's worth on that one. He was not happy at that point in the game. He left his starters in for a long time, and part of that is you don't play for another week. You don't play till next Friday in Cincinnati. You'll be there, and but some of it was just pure pissed off. And, he's trying to get these guys' attention, not for today or next Friday or Rice or A&M or Jackson State, but, once you get into that Big 12 grind. And he didn't feel like he had it fully today. He talked in the post game about his players talking well on the floor, setting screens and on defense. And that's been a concern for him in practice and leading up into the season. So we'll see how that keeps working out. Any questions? Do you have anything going?
My question was going to be about the free throws, but I feel like we've covered it.
Yeah.
I think I wonder if this is the best sort of setup for Jamal Shed that we've seen so far. Or best version of him, where I don't think he has to. Last year he had to take, I think, more of the scoring load than maybe he was capable of or wanted to.
Certainly more than the team, the program was comfortable with, going long term. If he's your scorer, you have problems because somebody's got to be the man on the floor in terms of running the show. And
Yeah.
if you've got him scoring all the time, he took 8 shots, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
Xavier Francis didn't take a single shot, and that's surprising to me. He did not play a ton of minutes, 15, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think with just all the extra options that this team has, I think it really allows Jamal Shead the space to really just distribute and run the offense. You could just see when he's on there just how much command he has. Beginning a possession, during a possession, on the offensive rebound, he's able to reset things so quickly and get things back going the right way. And this year he's really just been racking up assists. 7, 8. I don't know what his season average is, but I want to say it's, I think, high 6. I want to say. I may be wrong, but
You might be. Who knows?
Hmm.
He had 37 coming into today, so that's 6 a game. And he had 7 more, so he's just a little over 6. 6'2". That's pretty good.
yeah,
And he's had, 16, 18 turnovers now, so, 3 a game. That's okay. If you take your eyes off of Jamal and Jawan and LJ and just look at the other guys, who stood out to you today? And even going back to Charleston last week, who was the one that you said that's the guy having the game?
I think recently, and especially, I think sort of towards over the whole year, it's been Emmanuel Sharp. I think he's just sort of taken such a step, with his shot, but also, like you said, with his driving, his penetrating. He's been going to the hoop. He's been finishing well, getting fouled as well. I think he's just been just a good, and I've mentioned this before. Him and Damian Dunn. When that sort of two sort of get hot guys that you have on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and Emmanuel Sharp this season has been pretty good at it. You definitely tell during games when when it's not going to go in for him. But
Yeah.
you can also see that, he plays hard defensively. He got 6 rebounds this year. That was sort of a point of improvement going into the season and also after the first few games. And you can tell that he's an important part of sort of the role player group on this team.
Yeah. If I'm correct, he had 14 rebounds in Charleston. He had 6 tonight, so that's 20 in 4 games. That's 5 a pop. That's not bad. Emmanuel and I talked about it a couple weeks ago about that he would stand around and watch when he would shoot or when others would shoot instead of reacting, instead of going towards where he thought the ball was going to miss potentially. And he's doing a lot better job of that, a lot less standing around. And good for him because I think he's going to be he's going to win you games in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And you can say that about a lot of guys, but for you to take the next step to get to where you want to be in this league, he's going to have to be one of those guys for you. I don't know if this is true or not, but I laugh.
I think they were also down 41.
Way to follow up your big win over Arkansas with 14 points. Like I said, I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to tell you, we don't care. I hope it makes sense to them. What are your expectations about football tomorrow? Since we're here,
I don't have much.
that's smart. Never have expectations for football because it will disappoint you.
I think
will hurt you.
I think you'll either see, they're either going to come out with some fight or they're going to come out with none.
Or none.
I don't expect them to really be locked in for the full game and really be trying to prove something and try to, you know, end the season on the right note. I think there was so much. I think after all, this year, I don't think we haven't seen this team play a full complete game. I don't see any reason to do it after they've been eliminated from bowl contention.
There's
And
128 possibilities for the championship game, and I looked, and there's none with U of H.
Yeah.
I thought maybe if I got down to 127, but no.
And I think UCF is they're 5-6, so they're going to be playing for a bowl game.
Yeah.
On senior night, and so they're at home. Like they're going to be, I think, really looking to make a bowl game and really try to end the season right. And
I would be surprised if U of H led at any point in this game. I don't expect them to win. It would be nice to see them compete, to put an effort out there. And I think if you can do that, that's some progress from where you've been. They pulled every trick last week, and still, Cincinnati was bad. It's been a while since you played good football. And, UCF is in the same boat as you are coming into the league, Big 12 bodies, things making sense to them. We'll see. But I am not encouraged by what we've seen for the last month. It's somewhat hard to take anything out of it. You're just such a much better team than most of the teams you're playing, especially at home. You have not been challenged at home. And you got a little challenge in Charleston, especially Utah. Dayton was close to getting there a few times, but never really did. So I think you're going to see it up in Cincinnati next week. I'm fascinated to see this team in a true road game, what they do, how they come out, especially after a week of just practice. Kelvin's going to work their asses. He is going to put it on them for the next week. And, do they have fresh legs? Are they ready to go? I don't know. I'm curious to see. This is going to be a fun trip. This part of it is a little weird with a week, and then you have another, I think, 5 days till Rice. And, we're going to have fun watching it, covering it. We've got so much coming to you in terms of content. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to go home and watch Texas and Texas Tech. And then come back and do this again with Cougar football tomorrow. So, thank y'all so much. This was fun. Thinking about Tremont Mark and, his friends in that locker room, because those guys care. They're about to put the volleyball court up, I guess. They're coming for me. I'm sitting on the baseline, and they might just take the floor out from under me. So we're going to wrap it up. But thank y'all so much, and we're going to end it now. See you tomorrow.